Hello! If you're watching this part of the video, hit me with a hashtag replay to let me know you were here. I am Tanya at Blue Jay Vintage. I'm a decorative furniture painter, DIYer, antique booth owner, and an avid outdoors woman. Today, we're gonna attempt, and I've not done anything in preparation except cut a couple pieces. We're gonna do this all live. I think this might be two parts, but I will edit and put into one if that's the case. So we're gonna make a windmill, a DIY windmill that we can hang on the wall. So I have cookie sheets from the dollar store. These are the 2-piece, these are the bigger ones I think that they sell. I have, hey Miss Cindy, the crafts sticks or the dowels from the Dollar Tree. Hi Maria. And I have skewers. I'm not sure if we're going to use both of them or one or the other. I've got some beads, half beads. I've got paint, my brushes. And then the center part you can do a couple different ways. So I have this embroidery hoop. I got these at Hobby Lobby. My first thought was to somehow do it like this, but I found this rusty old saw blade from the Restore Habitat for Humanity store, and my thought, this will be the center to our windmill. So, you picture what I'm doing here? Did cut, hi Miss Bobby, I cut a pattern from a piece of cardboard. This was actually a display board I had used for something else. So, and I didn't really have measurements, so I kind of just trimmed it so it would fit inside of the cookie sheets. So I have my little measuring tape here. So the top part is 6.5 inches at the top. It is 14.5 inches long. Hi, Miss Melody. And it's 2.5 inches at the bottom. So I just kind of started trimming and cutting until it looked like a fan blade. And then it would fit inside of my cookie sheet. So you can picture this with different materials, with wood, right, Miss Cher? With wood, with cardboard and tinfoil over it. You can make these all different sizes. Hey Miss Julie. Julie's from Livermore. I'm in Orangeville, which is near Roseville, California, Northern California. We're hot. It's gonna be 105 by Sunday. Hot. I want to rusty these up. So that's the paint we're gonna use. And I have all these different techniques in my head, so we're gonna kind of play around. I have a car wash sponge from the dollar store that I wanna cut up and we're gonna use. So I'm gonna tilt you down and we're gonna start cutting these blades. I figured we need to start there. So I did cut 2 already and then kind of clean them up. So this is what it's gonna look like. I don't really yet know how many blades, but I have 2, 4, 6. So I have, I'm just gonna cut them all for 8. I live right off of Kenneth and Central. That's funny, what a small world. So I have 8 blades that we're gonna start with. So these come 2 to a pack, so I've kind of just left them taped and kind of center them and using my X-Acto knife. And we're going, it doesn't exactly go all the way through to both of them, but I at least get a good start. And then we're gonna trim it. Do one at a time. I like doing multiples at a time. I think to me it feels like it's more productive. Ooh. Okay. Then then get back up here and so these are not all going to be exact, which I'm okay with. I mean, I think the more it doesn't look perfect, the cuter it is. And I'm not even taking the sticker off. That's going to go on the back side. So then I'm just going to kind of trim so I'm straight on both ends. And then just trim and clean up any of these little curly cues that come off. Like this one doesn't look very straight. But I'm still keeping the two together. And then we'll clean up this side. So we'll get these 4 started to be painted, and then I can cut the other ones later. So there, I just cut. So now we have 4 we're going to work with right now. Put all these in here and out of the way. Then make sure all my edges look good. There's one little kind of curly cue. I'm just going to trim it. And then down here. Because once we paint it, you know, we want it to look like a windmill blade. So we've got those. So we need to rusty this up. This one is already pretty rusty, but I'm gonna add these little beads. I'm gonna put them on before I paint. That way while I'm painting, they can all get kind of the same patina. So we're gonna lay these out and see how many we need and how we want to place them. Like, I think I want a little spread out. You know what, let's do this. There. So I'm kind of eyeballing just this way, just kind of gonna do that. I'm leaving this hole thinking maybe that's where I'm gonna hang it from. I'm not exactly sure yet. So that looks about right. So now I've got my hot glue. Just get those attached. And this saw blade looks pretty rusty as it is, but we're gonna add some copper and some rust patina and some grays and some browns. Yes, if you're using wood and you're gonna put it outside, you would definitely need to put some kind of sealer on it. This one, because it's such flimsy, this is definitely an inside. Although in California, we don't have, you know, extreme weather. Okay. That looks pretty good. I'm going to paint them separately though, because I think it's just a little easier. So I am completely out of Rethunk Junk Semi-Sweet, the brown. So I got into my craft paint, and we're going to use nutmeg. We're going to use some cinnamon and some black. And just kind of, you know, make it look a little aged. This is not going to have any of the copper patina on it. These two will. So we'll just get this one done first. So right now I'm just cutting a piece of this off. And some brown and some black. We're going to use this to kind of offload. So get some paint on here. I'm not exactly sure what all is going to be seen, so I'm just going to paint it all. I don't think the inside is going to be seen, but the back side won't. But the edges might, so that's really where I'm going to concentrate. There's some brown. Now we'll do a little bit of black over that brown. And then a clean part of the edge, and I'm just going to kind of blend those two together. Okay, so now I think that's looking pretty good. A little bit of black, a little bit of brown. We'll set that over there. So for this one, I'm kind of going to do the same thing. A little bit of brown, a little bit of black. I mainly want to make sure that my little beads are, no wood is showing through. So if I have to, I'll get a small paintbrush. Back, let me just do that. Get down at the base of it, and then I'll start blending in some black. So how's everyone's weekend? We finally had COVID hit our house, so Honey Bear has been locked in the bedroom. So far my test is negative, but we're on lockdown. Okay, I think we're almost there. Nope, a little bit more here. Okay, so from all sides here now. Okay. Now we'll do a little black. And then if I get too much, I'll just wipe it off with a rag. Okay. Let's put a little more black in there. I miss Luann. Yeah, yesterday was rough for him. He was having trouble breathing, but today's much better. So hopefully that was the worst of it. Okay, we're gonna let this dry over here. Now to kind of salvage my tablecloth, it's not ready to be torn up yet. I'm just gonna put down some parchment paper. And I'll just do one at a time. So now I'm gonna cut a couple more sponges. This is where I definitely want to get the copper rusty kind of patina going. And I've got a whole bunch of different colors to try and make that happen. I'm just gonna cut this into small sections. Let's grab another paper plate. Maybe a couple. Okay, so I've got copper metallic. That is perfect for rustiness. I've got some sunset, some peacock feather that helps add some of that rusty patina. We've got black. We've got some grays. And we need our cinnamon. I have one already open. He is okay. He got the antiviral and an inhaler, and he has the bedroom, so I took the couch last night. So far my test is negative, so let's hope it stays that way. But we're just shocked that we made it this far and haven't had it. Really shocked, actually. So I'm gonna squirt out some colors so that I can pull from all of them as I'm doing this. Oops. Ugh. Hey, honey bear. Oh, never mind. I'm gonna actually use vintage coral or cactus rose. I can't get this one open. It's painted itself shut. So this one I think will be a good medium. And we've got our browns, we've got our blacks. Let me actually pour a little copper into here. I don't want to contaminate my jar. If I'm mixing colors. And I don't want to seal that one shut, but oh, this is a new color. This is the first time I'm using it. I think what we're gonna do, let's start with, we'll just start with some browns and blacks. Okay, so we have sponges for that. We're gonna get a little black. And I want some of the silver to show through, but not all of it. So I'm kind of pulling the browns and the black. Get a little more brown on the plate. And just kind of dabbing. Just want all of the silver to be covered. Get a little more brown. Now, let's do a little bit of the peacock feather. Let's see, oops. I'm gonna actually use this to hold it in place. This will give it that kind of rusty patina once we mix in the copper. Get it a little heavier there. a little bit over here. Okay, now we want some of the cactus rose. I'm going to use that to hold it. I'm just going over the same spots I put that peacock feather. Now, copper. So you just kind of play with the colors until you get it how you want it. I'm actually going to put a little bit of cinnamon in this area also. That'll make it a little more three-dimensional rustiness. I don't want cinnamon in the lid though. This one is almost done. And just kind of pat through the cinnamon. This is the peacock feather I'm going over with it. You just kind of layer it till you get the look you want. Let's get a little more black in here. A little more brown. And then our copper, that one. Get a little more down here. Now I'm just kind of going back over the black. Okay, let me kind of tilt this up. There's a little bit of a glare. It's looking pretty rusty. I'm loving that. Now I want mix in a little gray. I want this to be more in the gray tones than into the brown tones. So let's do a little driftwood. Plus that's giving this a little bit of it. I mean, ideally you'd probably want this to dry completely, then it'd be a little easier to start mixing colors. But we're live, who's got time for that? Oop, almost out of that color. A little driftwood. So there's 3 different grays that will kind of do the same thing. So I've only got 4 more sponges. I'm still gonna use this to hold it. Start blending in some grays. My tone of my house is a little more gray, which is why I'm doing that. You could keep working in the browns and the blacks. Use a different corner. In fact, I'll just kind of go over with the brown, tone that down a little bit. The blades are what's going to take the longest. That's why I thought this was going to be probably a two-piece project. That's that one. That's that one. Let's get a little bit of the lighter. Okay, that's blotchy enough. Now we'll get a little more black. Black then will tone everything down. And And then I'll go back over it with the brown. And I'm using such little paint, I'm going right back over it because I don't want it to dry before I kind of get it blended together. Okay, now a little more copper. Definitely on the sides. And tone it down a little bit. A little more. Okay, oh, I'm thinking I'm about ready to move on to the next one. Let's get a little more black and brown in here. Okay, I think I like that just the way it is. So, one down, a few more to go. Looks pretty rusty. So, anywhere I touch it, the paint's coming off because it's not dry. So I'm gonna set that to the side. But let me fix that before I move too much. We're gonna set it over here. And then we're on to the next one. Let's see if we can do two. Shoot, let's just do all three. Might as well. These are what we have cut right now. So it probably would be easier than doing one at a time is going ahead and doing all of them. I'm not exactly sure how many we're gonna need. That's why I've kind of stopped at 4 until we get the center part put together. Then I'll know. So let's move this stuff out of the way. Oh. We're gonna need a little more brown. We'll start with the base colors, the brown and the black. That one's already started, so I'm not even gonna offload. I'm just gonna kind of start dabbing. You could probably use a brush, but I think it's fun to just dab. You never get the same look. A little more brown. Kind of just use one sponge to hold down the other. Black and brown are always just a good base for an old look. Black and gray would kind of do the same thing. We'll get this one in here. We need some brown. We need some black. Trying to salvage my tablecloth tablecloth, so I don't want to get too much paint on it yet. A touch of blue, yeah. Blue instead of that peacock feather, that teal color, that would definitely help make a vintage look. But I just like to build up the colors. You know, if you want it all white, you would just paint it all white. I wanted like a variated. I definitely wanted the rust. I wanted to use this new copper. Okay, so there's some brown and black. Now we'll get a little rusty colors on there with the cactus rose. That was one of the last colors I put on. See, I started getting a little too splotchy, so I'm just kind of going back over it just to smooth it out a little bit. Now, peacock feather. Got my sponges all mixed up right here. So this would be the most time consuming, but I think this is the funnest part. It's just watching and mixing the colors just to achieve the look you want. Maybe not put so much on this one. That's really pretty just like it is. But we need copper. Copper, copper, copper. So we're gonna do one at a time right now while this paint is wet, mix in our cinnamon. Because we're using so little, it's going to dry fast. I don't want cinnamon in my lap. So now, get some copper. The cinnamon is just giving it actual texture. You could use baking soda or just keep blending it with your paint. Okay, that looks good. Now we'll get more copper onto this. I love copper. I love rustiness. So I'm going a little overboard, but you don't have to do it this much. Uh-oh. That one's empty. So we have our new one. Ooh, that was a lot. Now, more copper, and a little bit of brown. Okay, I'm gonna do my grays on these two and then we can move them out of the way. So, my gray sponge is right about here, and my brown. So I'm just gonna hold this down and start putting in some gray. And some black. And they don't all have to be exact, but I am going to pull, I'm kind of looking at that other one just to see where I put what colors. And then some brown. So this one is almost dry. This was the first one we did. Close. So once it kind of smoothes out and dries, then it gives it more of that rusty effect. This one has a little too much silver down here, so I'm going to pull in a different color. I'm going to hold it with the other sponge. I mean, I want some of the silver to show through, but just not that much. So there's our second one. We'll set this over here. But like this one is already drying. See how rusty that already looks just with the two colors. Like that is really cute just the way it is. Let's add our gray. Get a little all the way around. Thanks, Miss Julie. Let's get some medium gray in there. I think on this one, we're going to add a little more of the peacock feather to give that more of that kind of rusty look. So they don't all have to be the same. Though you think about a windmill and some of them are, you know, they're moving all the time. So some of them can be a little rustier than others. Now, I need my black, and then we'll just kind of black and brown through the whole thing. isn't going to do the backs of these. Because they're such thin foil, I'm going to put a stick in the back just so they hold their shape. Wood pieces, I probably would, and I would probably turn them a little more at an angle. I wanted to experiment with this one before I attempted to do a wooden one. Okay, we need a little more grays. This one was gonna be kind of like a practice. So it's a very inexpensive practice because these were 2 for $1. I feel like this has too much brown in it, so I'm kind of going back over it with the grays. And my sponges are already kind of all muddled, so it's okay. We're gonna use this one. So let's compare. This was the very first one we did to the second one. I think there's still just a little too much gray in there. We'll add, and then the second one we did. So that one's a little rustier. So we're gonna add a little more black. Just to mute that gray a little bit. And then to mute the gray, we're gonna put a little more brown. Actually, kind of blend them. Okay, love it. Now this last one, let's see. I'm kind of loving this patina look. So I think I'm gonna try adding just a little bit of gray. I'm just gonna hold that. Maybe not do the cinnamon on this one. Oh, this one does have some, just because it got oversprayed. Thank you, Miss Julie. I appreciate that. Let's do some medium gray. But, I mean, you see, it looked like a hot mess, and then it kind of turns into, oh yeah, that is kind of rusty. Now we're going to do some, I'm going to use this brown. And a little bit of black. Black and brown at the same time. Just to muddle all those colors up. Okay, now I think we need a little copper. Cover up some of that silver with some copper. So, let's compare this one to this one. I think it's pretty good. Let's though add a little bit of black. So this is going to be a two-part. We got the blades done and we got the center done. The center we're going to add some more colors in. So I will be back tomorrow and we will put this all together. So all I'm going to do off camera is I will figure out how many blades we need. Then we're going to do all of the attachments together. So that way you can see exactly how I did it. So thanks for joining me. This was fun. I love rusty, crusty stuff. And it's a dollar store cookie sheet and a little bit of paint. A little bit of paint, a little bit of patience. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.